Brilliant. That should be up now, the title screen. Brilliant. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. As you can see, we have quite a few people already here, which is fantastic to be so prompt. We will wait just very briefly to see if any more people will be joining us, also to give us a slight technical extension so I can fix something, but we'll be starting very shortly. Okay, brilliant. We're actually very close to the amount of people who registered, which is really good to see. I think with that, we should kick things off. So yes, welcome everybody to the very first in the TIPS4PED webinar series. My name is Ben Luoma. I'm a project manager here at POLIS Network in Brussels, and we are part of the project itself and mainly coordinating the communications, coordination and dissemination side of things. I'd love to introduce everybody briefly, but first, before I do that, this webinar, as I said, is the first in the series. It's going to be focusing on a more of a holistic overview of what the TIPS4PED project is about, but we're also having two very special guests who are joining us from two other projects related to the use of digital twins and positive energy districts. So the agenda for today, starting off, obviously myself, I've already introduced myself. We then have our first guest, Sergio Fernández Balaguer from EMT Madrid. He is the head of international projects there in EMT Madrid, and will be talking to us about the LEAD project, which is focusing on digital twins, specifically for urban logistics. Following that, and a brief Q&A with Sergio before he leaves us, we'll then be having an overview from our Lighthouse city, courtesy of Riccardo Saraco from the Municipality of Turin. And we'll get a really good view then as to what it is the TIPS4PED project is doing on the ground. Following that, we'll move into a slightly more technical aspect, where we shall have two of our technical leads from the Links Foundation and the Politecnico di Torino, and that's Agnese Branca, a climate researcher there, and Andrea Lanzini, a full professor at the Politecnico, who will be talking about the actual digital twin platform that is being developed and the IAP that is being developed as a part of the project to support the digital twin. And then finally, to wrap things up after another short Q&A, we shall have our next guest, our final guest, Jakob Spohr from IREC, which is based in Catalonia, and he'll be talking about the recently closing down, coming to an end, making PEDs project that has been very active in the last few years. So without further ado, I'm going to now pass to a different presentation so that Sergio can get going. Sergio, I'll pass the microphone to you now whilst I just quickly switch screens.
Okay, thank you very much, Ben. Thank you very much, Accounting with EMT Madrid, for this session, this webinar. And also thank you very much for letting me be the first presenter today, because I am abroad. I am in Gothenburg attending a UITP event, and I have to rush after the presentation to the meeting. So thank you very much twice. So I will talk to you about a project called LEAD. Actually, POLIS Network was one of the partners in this project. It's a project that is over. And it's about, the acronym responds to this title, Adaptive Last Mile and Low Emission Logistics in support of the on-demand economy through digital twin. So I guess the digital twin side is what you are more interested in. Next, please.
There we go.
So first of all, just to let you know about EMT Madrid, we are the public transport operator of the city. We are a public company managing the bus service, the parking facilities, the bike sharing system, the tow trucks, the cable car, and also we have a consultancy department. And what's the reason behind? Because you may think, what's a public transport operator doing in logistics? It's mainly linked to the parking facilities we operate. We have quite a big number, a lot of parking lots. You can see more than 12,700 parking lots. And sometimes these parking facilities do not have the occupancy level we would desire. And they have a lot of space that potentially can play a key role in urban logistics, either as a consolidation center or a cross-docking station. So that's why we became involved in LEAD project, actually to check whether the use of a digital twin could optimize the operations of logistic operators from our parking facilities. Next, please. You may also know about the policies that the City of Madrid has been deploying and developing. And actually, all this comes from the former Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan, Madrid 360, and also the Sustainability Strategy, Madrid 360. They have the same name. Actually, if you come to Madrid, whatever is related to sustainability has this surname, Madrid 360, that's the branding. And within these documents and about freight distribution, there are different working lines. And one of them is the one which is in green color, is the enhancement of micro-hubs, public and private collaboration, and the promotion of nocturnal distribution of goods. Well, basically under this title is what we thought, okay, let's try to enhance the usage of these empty spaces in our parkings to turn them into logistic micro-hubs and to foster this public-private collaboration. Next, please. So at the EMT, what we have been doing in the last years, it's to step in from a traditional parking facility, so just the storage of cars, to what we call mobility hubs. It's normally upgraded parking facilities where the most accessible floor gathers different mobility services, including shared mobility, secure bike parking, lockers for picking up parcels, charging infrastructure for electric vehicles, and logistic hubs. So next, please. This is just a map of Canalejas. It's the first mobility hub we launched. You can click several times so all the cycle appears. And this is just to show you what is behind this idea of turning from parking to mobility hubs. So basically, it's how to apply technology and optimization of users in all the different steps. And as you can see, the use of IoT, digital twins, logistic as a service is one of these steps in the chain to shift from traditional parking to mobility hubs, which gathers all these smart, let's say, background behind. Next, please. So LEAD, it's a project that is over, as I mentioned. It ended in September 2023. POLIS was one of the partners. EMT was also a partner and actually the coordinator of the project. And you can see all different partners involved. Next, please. And the 6 different living labs, so you have Madrid, The Hague, Porto, Lyon, Budapest, and Oslo. You can see every one of them, or any one of them, any of them, all of them, actually focused on a very specific pilot. Basically, the idea was to analyze an existing problematic in the village, to think together with the private sector how to deploy any service and solution around it, and to use a digital twin not only to optimize the operations, but to validate the accuracy of the digital twin that was developed. In the case of Madrid, our idea was to transform a parking lot, a parking facility, into a urban consolidation center. Next, please. So our local partners to develop this were beyond EMT Madrid as the owner of the parking facility. We also had a mobility model of the city, but City Login, that was the private logistic operator, providing vehicles, clients, and all the operational data. Panasonic was also a data provider. Last Mile team was in charge of the route optimization application and the routing modeling. UPM, the Politecnico University of Madrid, worked on the business models designed and all the sustainability assessment methodologies, and Zaragoza Logistics Center was the coordination of the Living Lab. Next, please. And the context was about the rising of e-commerce. Actually, the project basically ran starting with the COVID, and that was actually a boom on last mile delivery systems, all these new online purchasing habits. So as customers, we wanted a very responsive system to very customized products. The industry wanted to compete, providing instant delivery, and then cities were afraid of all the negative consequences. So the idea was to put all together and develop a solution by low emission vehicles and using these adaptive models and the digital twin models. Next, please. The idea was starting from this co-design of the different value cases, then developing the digital twin, and through the physical pilot to validate it in the different living labs, and then thinking also about the scalability. So you can see there the different strategies. As I mentioned, the idea was to use only zero or low emission commercial vehicles, and also to do all the steps based on data. So also learning how to use data to take optimal decisions. Next, please. So the physical pilot as such started in October 2021 and ended in the 1st of June 2023. We decided to operate from Plaza Mayor. If you have ever been to Madrid, Plaza Mayor is really the old city center. Underneath the Plaza Mayor, there is an old parking that had some empty facilities that were used before as warehouses. So what we did is to upgrade these facilities to turn them into a hub. You can see the pictures on the right-hand side. And from there, City Lodging would operate as a cross-docking station, mostly, instead of delivering from San Fernando de Henares. This company, City Lodging, had its main warehouse in this village, which is around 30 kilometers away from the city center. So what they did, and using the digital model they also did, was to check whether it was more optimal to make just one shift from the hub in San Fernando, or to make an intermediate stop at the Plaza Mayor, and then delivering from there using basically electric three-wheelers. You can see also the vans that were arriving early in the morning to the hub were electric ones. Then they were using this model, this cubic three-wheelers, to make the last mile delivery. And the range of action was approximately 1 kilometer around the Plaza Mayor's hub. Next, please. So getting into the digital twin. So we had two scenarios. This was developed by Zaragoza Logistics Center. We have the scenario as is it meaning that servicing from this peri-urban depot, or the scenario to be delivering from this urban consolidation center. So first of all, we had the rough cut planning, what we call rough cut planning, which was a two echelons model, meaning that the operator could decide, okay, whether to operate from San Fernando or from the city center. Then we had the module to calculate the vehicle emissions that was based in Coppert, the European model. And then we have to select the different scenarios based on the available vehicles and the schedules for the delivery. Finally, a last mile team developed the route optimization model, or module, better said, to optimize the route according to the schedule of the deliveries. And finally, we had, let's say, fine-tuning vehicle emissions calculations, and also noise calculation that was developed by UPM. One of the interesting things, because we had 6 different living labs, is that we created a model library of 20 generic, reusable, and adaptive models. So, and they were published open source in GitHub. So every city could pick up the different models to, let's say, tailor-made their own digital twin. Next, please. At this point, I also would like to mention that we may have in mind this idea of super fancy, futuristic, 3D dimensional digital model. LEED didn't develop that. So let's be clear. Actually, it was more about a simulation or modeling digital twin. But we didn't have a physical, let's say, graphical 3D model, you know, with the model of the city, as I don't know, Singapore has it, because Singapore has been working on that through years investing millions of euro or dollars, and that was not the budget of the project, not the aim of the project. Though we did have a physical representation, especially for the route optimization planning, we had a map where you could see the before and after situation. This is the screenshot of the dashboard that was used by the different cities. So the idea was to design this ready-to-use framework, scalable, and to also facilitate these dynamics, the comprehension of the dynamics of the different logistic networks and support. So you could here, let's say, pick up the different options and also to specify the particularity of your logistic operations to run the digital twin. Next, please. So on the left-hand side, you have the characteristics of the physical pilot that was used to, let's say, operate according to the solutions that were provided by the digital twin, and at the same time to check the accuracy of the functioning of the digital twin. In particular, we used 2 vans and 7 light commercial vehicles, the 3-wheelers. There were 7 rounds per day on average. Normally, each vehicle had 40 normal size parcels capacity, and approximately 280 parcels were handled per day in the consolidation center. There were 3 people, and they operated from Monday to Sunday from 8 to 10. But in terms of the digital twin, we used this 1-2-step distribution model and to the route optimization. It was validated by the different working days, and it was refined also according to the feedback from the real pilot operations. As I mentioned, to calculate the emissions, we use corporate model, the US standard vehicle emissions model, and also the methodology for the estimation of the CO2 emissions was also according to the electricity mix we had in Spain in general and in Madrid in particular. The results, which were quite optimal for us, I mean, we were very happy about this, is that the use of digital twin allowed city login to pre-assess and then to verify through the pilot 33% less kilometers driven, 14% less driving time, 79% less energy consumption. I mean, this is obvious because they were using electric vehicles, and also because they were making less kilometers from the main hub. 82% less greenhouse gas emissions and 67% less particle matters emissions. Of course, noise, because they were electric compared to the as is situation using combustion engine vehicles. 13% higher delivery reliability and 20% less delivery time. So this was really very nice. And actually the results of this digital, I mean, I wouldn't say digital twin, but also the overall lead project, it's what it also pushed us to keep developing the concept of mobility hubs. These all happened before we even deployed the first mobility hub. Next one, please. Actually, the idea, the Living Lab in Madrid was selected as the European best practice in sustainable urban logistics by the EIT Urban Mobility in 2022. And also in August 2022, we deployed the first proper mobility hub. When I say proper is because it was based also on infrastructure and upgrading the infrastructure of a parking hub. That is Canalejas. Is the plan I showed you in one of the first slides that included from design an area of 200 square meters just for a logistic hub. That was, we launched a tender. It was awarded to Spohr company, and they are running it and operating it for 4 years plus 1. So they are still operating it until next year, where we will have to renew the contract, and it's working really well. And actually the figures of deliveries and everything has increased a lot. I mean, it's much higher than the ones we had under lead project. Next one, please. And that's it. So, well, yeah, I hope you found it interesting. And if you have any questions, and I know the answer, happy to reply and to answer.
Thank you so much, Sergio. Yes, we'll definitely have some questions, I'm sure. And thank you for the very insightful presentation. I'm just going to quickly scan the chat before I revert to my questions that I have. Indeed, as Pedro says, don't be shy. This is the time for Q&A. Whilst we see if anybody has anything that they'd like to ask you, I will just quickly go along with the first thing that struck me, Sergio, is EMT/Madrid in a bit of a unique position where you have responsibility for public spaces like parking? Is that something that is common across lots of different cities, or is that something that's a bit more special to Madrid?
I think it's quite specific from Madrid. Yeah, we don't know that many operators, public transport operators, that are also managers of parking facilities. Yeah, I really don't know many. No, but I guess it's something that is replicable. I mean,
Yes.
EMT Madrid until 2013 didn't have any parking facility. That happened because the municipality, as we are a public company, decided that some of the concessions that were expiring back in that time would shift to be managed by EMT Madrid. And since then, we've been incorporating new facilities.
And you mentioned obviously that you don't have a full 3D model within your as part of the digital twin. Were there any sort of drawbacks to not having that, or do you think that it wasn't necessary in this instance with regards to logistics?
Well, basically the main limitation was the budget. I mean, you know, European projects do not provide infinitive budget, and you need to really focus on what is the basics. If we had more time and more budget, probably we have done something more futuristic. However, just for you to know, at this moment, the city of Madrid is developing a complete digital model of the city with this, let's say, futuristic approach, 3D model, under the Madrid Capital Digital Strategy. So the digital office of the city is very into that. The idea is to make a virtual representation in real time of the city of Madrid based on the feeding from data, sensors, images, algorithms. And the idea is to use this digital model to simulate public policies, no matter if it's mobility, sustainability, emergency. Also to analyze the impact before executing urban projects, and to improve the management of infrastructures and municipal services. And there are already some demonstrators and real cases, for instance, to assess the traffic in some of the streets, big avenues of the city. In the case of massive events, such as, I don't know, the Pride Parade, or any final football match, also around sensible areas, like around the Retiro Park, or in the new urban areas that are being built, such as Madrid Nuevo Norte. So the idea is to create this digital twin under a model of twin of twins, let's say. So a federated integration of different sectorial digital twins. And the idea is to keep working on that, as far as I know, until 2028. So there's going to be investment and continuity until 2028. So yeah, probably in a few years we will be able to show you something really more integrated. Yeah, dimensional. That's it.
Yeah, for sure. And you obviously, that would probably be using some of the components that were developed in LEED, maybe the open source ones you mentioned.
I mean, the City Council was a partner in LEED project, and also, I mean, the directorate that is in charge of this. So probably yes, there will be a way to take advantage of what it was developed under LEED project.
Well, we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on it here at POLIS, obviously, and I'm sure others can as well. Obviously, the project is no longer active, but where would be the best place to keep up to date with the sort of digital twin activities taking place? Would it be the EMT website?
Pardon, would you mind to repeat?
Sorry, I think we lost connection there. Where would be the best place to stay up to date with EMT on the digital twin activities, or the city, I guess?
Oh, I didn't get it.
Well,
sorry.
Sorry. Where is the best place that people can stay up to date with what's going on?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think about the digital twin of the city through the website of the city. There is a specific website of Madrid Capital Digital or Digital Capital. I don't remember the order. So you can just Google it. And there you may find all the comprehensive information about any digital topic of the city of Madrid.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sergio. Thanks for joining us. I know that you probably need to depart soon. So thanks for answering the questions. And we hope to hear more from you soon in the future. I'll see you obviously at POLIS conference, I'm sure. And with that, we shall now move on to our next presenter. Thanks, Sergio.
Okay, thank you very much. Unfortunately, I must leave, but if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email. Pedro and Ben have my email address, so no problem. Thank you.
Thanks. Brilliant.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So, Riccardo, let's hear a bit more about the project that's brought us all here and working together. Are you able to share your presentation?
I'm trying.
Okay, brilliant. In that case, I'll leave the floor to you, and I will see you at the end for some further questions.
Okay. Is it okay?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so I'm managing also the slides. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to introduce our project today. My name is Riccardo Saraco and I work for the Municipality of Torino. Specifically, I am a project manager working from the Green and Digital Transition Department in Torino. So we are not a technical partner, but within the local consortium and within the municipality, the Energy Management Department and the Green Department are involved and are actively involved with a specific role. Today, I will give an overview of the project, focusing on our positive energy district in Torino, and with a more focus on a specific activity, the citizen engagement, that actually is directly linked with the technical goals of the project. How can I change the slide? Okay. TIPS4PED, turning cities planning actions for positive energy district into success, means to be committed in a building relevant component, the energy efficiency, towards the climate neutrality. All the city partners of the project are deeply engaged in reaching the carbon neutrality by 2030 as a part of the Net Zero City EU mission. TIPS4PED is a European Horizon Europe Innovation Action that started in 2024 and will end by June next year, with a total budget of more than 6 million. The project brings together a strong consortium composed by technical partners and city ecosystem, including Torino as a lighthouse city, but also Cork in Ireland, Kozani in Greece, and Budapest, or a district of Budapest in Hungary. As you can see, each ecosystem has technical partners together with the city and in Torino, and we will hear about them. We have the Links Foundation, the Politecnico of Torino, but also the IREC, the city utilities for providing energy to the public buildings and roads. The main goal of TIPS4PED is to support citizens in the planning, design, and management of a positive energy district. At the core of the project is the development of an integrated assessment platform. This platform will support the decision-making process, provide evidence-based KPIs, improve the access to information and data, and enable the creation of a dynamic digital twin of the district. The digital twin itself will allow cities to simulate, monitor, and optimize energy performance over the time in the district. You all know that the cities are today responsible for a large share of energy consumption and emissions, and therefore they play a critical role in achieving a climate neutrality. And this is because cities also face several challenges. Decision-making processes are often fragmented. Urban systems are high complex systems. Local policies and funding are not sufficient to meet sustainable goals, and citizen engagement is still limited. TIPS4PED address these challenges by providing, let's say, an holistic or integrated approach to urban energy planning. And the project is driven by several key factors. The need for cross-sector decision-making tools, the complexity of urban environment, the importance of involving citizens and stakeholders, and the need for better integration between technical, financial, and regulatory aspects. Through the IAP, TIPS4PED aims to demonstrate solutions at high level of technology maturity, enabling real-world application and also replication. Yeah, this is our PED, based in let's say near the center of Torino. The selected district covers an area of around 260,000 square meters, with a population of around 3,500 residents. Yeah, this is the correct slide. Well, so in particular, PED is particularly interesting because it combines residential building, municipal buildings, the main campus of Politecnico of Torino, the energy centers, student dormitories, and an energy plant operated by IREC. So this makes the district an ideal living lab for testing positive energy solutions. And within the district, we focus on two main test areas. The first one is related to some municipal buildings, and one of them is very old building that was a factory. A factory, and then now is a facility by the Municipality of Torino. And the second one is a more recent building that has on the top of the roof some energy panels. And the second area is the energy centers, that is let's say an hub for energy innovation These sites allow us to test both technical solution and operational strategies. But let's see what are the challenges and the innovation that TIPS4PED brings. First, the goal is not only to achieve an energy independence, but to address key issues in Torino. The high energy demand of a dense and often aging building stock. Therefore, we aim to create a district that can produce more energy than it consumes, reducing the pressure on urban energy system. Second, reducing greenhouse gas emission is crucial for Torino, a city historically affected by air quality issues and high heating demand. The PED approach allows us to significantly cut emissions at district level, contributing concretely to local climate neutrality targets. The third one is the development of a digital twin that responds to the need for better planning tools. You know, in a complex urban environment like Torino, it enables the municipality, it will enable the municipality to simulate scenarios, optimize energy flow, and support more informed and coordinated decision making. Finally, we strongly, TIPS4PED strongly focus on citizen engagement, because in Torino, main intervention involve existing buildings and communities. Without the active participation of residents and users, the energy transition cannot be effectively implemented, regardless of the technology maturity. So, I give you a quick overview of our engagement strategy and activity. That are, in our case, together with the help of the Finland University, we produce a social engagement strategies focusing on using gamification techniques, participatory workshop, adding to a co-creation process. And we also managed by the Politecnico, maybe Andrea will talk about it, a public call, an expression of interest to help the project to measure the energy consumption. So these activities aim to raise awareness, of course, but encourage activity participation, foster transparency and trust, and also align technical solution with community needs. We really want the citizen not just be informed, but to become active contributors to the energy transition. And these are some of the activities we run and we are still running. We started with a context analysis, with some primary data collection within our pilot. We then make a stakeholder mapping with, let's say, diversification of the categories of the stakeholders' needs and relation. And we started also 2 years ago with a focus group to validate the stakeholder mapping and to finalize the stakeholder needs. The activities are ongoing, as I said. We decided to contract an external agency to POLIS to help us in supporting this and in design and implementing the engagement strategy. Then we have a meeting with the district authorities and the city's authorities. We are running some local workshop last year, this year, and next year. We also had in May, within the activity of the project, a national roundtable dedicated to replicate the achievement, the challenge, say, and the achievement of the project. And we will have a final workshop together with the stakeholders and citizens during the final GA in Turin next year. Okay, more or less it's all. Let's say just one thing more. For us, TIPS4PED, as I said, is a way to supporting city to the climate neutrality by combining these 3 aspects that I already said: digital tools and digital twins, integrated planning platform, and but a strong stakeholder engagement. We aim to demonstrate a replicable and scalable model for positive energy district across Europe. And Torino is proud to be to contribute as a lighthouse city, helping to pave, let's say, the way for more sustainable and resilient urban environment. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Riccardo. Yep, I think that was a really great overview of everything that's been going on in the project, specifically regarding Torino. I don't see questions in the chat right now, but if there are any, specifically, especially for our lighthouse city, please do ask them. I will convey them. I guess I'll have a quick question, and if there aren't any, we'll move on to the next more technical presentation for TIPS4PED. So, Riccardo, and I think maybe this might be a distinction that comes up in later webinars that we have, but positive energy does not necessarily equal clean energy. And I just wanted to know whether you knew about Torino's, the wider cities energy mix. I know that Torino is one of the mission cities, and I'm just wondering if you know what efforts are being made beyond the sites of the Lighthouse city to the wider city to make the city greener with its energy consumption. Do you have any ideas there?
Yeah, you know, the key factor is to building allies. As you know, with the city and the other stakeholders signed a contract with the European Commission in order to find new solution. I'm not aware of specific intervention, but let me say that the collaboration with the only possible key to success.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, exactly, and that's why these projects can be so good, and to have all different cities talking to each other in these forums is always very, very useful. Brilliant. Well, thank you, Riccardo, for that. I think we'll move on to the more technical presentation. There will be more time for questions at the end of the whole webinar. So if there are any questions specifically for Torino, please feel free to send them in the chat, and we'll make sure to discuss them at the end. So thank you, Riccardo. And I shall now pass on to Agnese. You go first, or is it Andrea? I'll pass on to both of you, and you can both have the floor to share. I think you might be muted, though.
Sorry?
Nah, now we can hear you. There we go. Thank you.
No, yeah, sorry. I couldn't hear you very well, but now I can. So I will share the presentation and start, and then I will leave the floor to Andrea. Just let me know if you see the presentation.
Yep, that's perfect.
Okay, perfect. So, okay, in this presentation, me and Andrea are going to introduce you to the more technical part of the TIPS4PED project and its application in Torino, the lighthouse city of the project, as Riccardo already told you. So the project is organized around a platform called Integrated Assessment Platform that supports 3 different phases, which are feasibility, design, and operation. The platform ensures consistency and integration of different domains. It allows for monitoring and optimization of energy flows and supports decision making in an informed way for cities. So I will introduce you to the feasibility phase and how it's being applied in Torino, because we are still working on its application in the city. So the feasibility phase is organized around 6 modules addressing different aspects, which are energy, buildings, renewable energy, diffusion, acceptance of energy measures, and greenhouse gases emissions, and private and public transport. The main outcome of this phase, of the feasibility phase, is the PED readiness indicator, which is divided into 2 separate indicators, one for energy and one for carbon footprint. And these 2 indicators assess the readiness of a district to become energy positive. Right, because we were, as you mentioned before, Ben, we were talking about clean energy. So we don't just want to be energy positive, but also to have clean energy, so to reduce the GHG emissions. The labels you see on the right are an example of outputs for the energy and for the carbon footprint part, plus some other figures that are outputs of the platform. For example, regarding energy costs and the electric kilometers traveled the kilometers traveled by electric vehicles compared to the total number of kilometers traveled by all the vehicles. So let's now dive into the definition of the energy PED readiness index. this index analyzes all the energy flows in the district, within the boundary of the district. So this means analyzing the energy production, the energy that is self-consumed inside the district, the one that is imported from the grid, and the excess energy produced that is then sold to the grid. All of this is converted into primary energy, and through the formula that you see, I'm not going into the detail of the formula, but the index is calculated. So all the energy vectors are considered in this case, and in the specific case of Torino, we deal with electricity, natural gas, district heating, and local photovoltaic generation. And as you can see from the bottom right image with the labels, the index can range from -1, which means that there is no local production and no self-consumption. So this is the worst condition for a district, but it can go to greater than 0 with the A label in the cases where the district is actually energy positive. So the energy is self-consumed and also sold to the grid. And in the bottom left corner, you can see a preliminary evaluation of the energy index of the district, the district that Riccardo showed you before in his presentation. The label is currently F, but we expect an increase in this value with the implementation of all the energy efficiency measures and the photovoltaic production. And of course, we're going to compare the value for the future scenario to this one, which is the one for the current scenario. In this image, you can also see a map of the city with 3 districts highlighted. As you can see, the red one is the one we already discussed, and it's the main district of the project. But we decided to select other 2 districts intentionally in different areas of the city with different architecture and social context, with the aim to compare the results for these districts with the main one. And this will help us evaluate the performance of the platform in different contexts, and also to ensure the replicability of this phase. So this is it from my side. I will now leave the floor to Andrea, who is going to share the presentation. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Agnese. And I guess you can see now the screen again. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, we can see that.
And this is from where I will start again. And now we have deep dive in the design phase of a positive energy district. And as mentioned before by Riccardo, we have a main demonstration case, Lighthouse case, that is a district of the city of Torino. And then we have 3 follower cities, which we will be applying the same tools that also Agnese just shown. And the design phase is a lot about collecting data of the city district. And so, for instance, to calculate the positive energy index, we collected data for all the relevant energy vectors of the district, so natural gas, district heating for the city of Torino, and electricity consumption. And here you have also, for some vectors, we have also quite granular data, so not just the annual consumption, but like the hourly consumption. And so we look also, of course, at the positiveness of the district. So if we produce locally some energy, And right now in the district of Torino, which is dominated in terms of buildings by our campus of the Technical University of Torino, Politecnico di Torino, we have a bit more than 1 megawatt of PV, rooftop PV installed, leading to this amount of local generation. But you can already see that the generation is much lower than the consumption. And this was also reflected in the baseline calculation of the positive energy readiness index. But we are now designing the district so that we can increase the positiveness of the district. And to do so, we have developed also, thanks to partners of the project that are not presenting here today, but contributed to these slides and nice visuals that are IES and also RINA for the calculation modules. We have a local digital twin that is a 3D district model with the buildings, and it's not just a geometrical digital version of the city, but we also collect energy data and also thermophysical properties of the envelopes of the building, so that we can also simulate the energy performance of the buildings and also apply retrofit scenarios so that we can improve and so reduce the energy consumption of the buildings. So one way to make the district more positive is to produce more energy, but also to save energy from the existing building stock, and of course also from mobility. And so for some buildings, we have also a high level detail, like these are the test areas that were mentioned before in Riccardo's presentation. So we have the building information model, the BIM. And so we have a very fine description also of the 3D and the internals of the building. And so we set up a workflow to create the local digital twin, and here you have a link to our publication, which we describe a bit more in detail how we set up the local digital twin platform. And here I have a few videos showing some aspects of the digital twin platform. And this first video is just a navigation through the buildings, and then we select the electricity vector, and we are going to see a different color of the building depending on how much electricity is consumed. So this is the type of visualization, data exploration that you can make to the local digital twin. And this is precisely the district of Torino. So I'm sitting in one of the buildings around here right now. And I will now skip to the next videos. So this is a dashboard for what if scenario analysis at the district level. So the goal is to reduce carbon emissions from the stock of buildings in the district, so we can devise some trajectories for reducing, so some roadmap to reduce carbon emissions. And each stage of the roadmap corresponds to some actions that are taken, like installing heat pumps or improving the insulation of the envelope of the buildings. And so we can test these actions in the platform, in a sort of planning phase mode of the platform, and we can see the outcome in terms of reduced energy consumption and reduced CO2 emissions. And for selected buildings, we have also just for the test cases, we have we can also play with the what if scenarios and apply more in detail retrofit interventions. And again, we start from the baseline energy condition of energy performance of the building, and we can try to reach a nearly zero energy building, or possibly the future a positive energy building by applying retrofit scenarios, so energy efficiency measures, and also installing more PV or heat pump. And to collect, so this was the deep dive on the local digital twin platform. A digital twin should also rely on not just on static data, but also on real-time data from the district. And we are for the residential users within the city of Torino, we are also collecting on a real-time basis the electricity consumption. So through an expression of interest that is still ongoing, we have already identified more than 200 residential users, so citizens, and they have installed a meter here that will, it's not a meter, it's actually just a reader of the actual meter installed by the distribution system operator, and we are able to read the data real time and see the electricity consumption of some families within the district and in the city of Torino. So these are the data that we have already collected over the past 2-3 months. So we have the typical curve of residential profile, so with mainly a evening peak of consumption, and then also a much smaller morning peak, and especially in the weekends, a lunch peak of consumption. Otherwise, we have overnight we have the base load consumption of the houses. So these data are also useful to refine the calibration of our local digital twin. So that's everything on my side. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, both of you, Agnese and Andrea. We're a little bit behind schedule, but it's okay. We have a bit of buffer at the end of this session, so we'll soon move on to Jakob. But first, we'll just, I guess, try quickly get a couple of questions in, maybe one each. So, I mean, first of all, discuss it. Well, at POLIS, we've always been a fan of the energy labeling. I think the method that was chosen to communicate efficiency was really great. I think it really appeals to the public, and for people who are maybe not as technically minded, can easily understand what the project is trying to do just through the use of the label. So that's fantastic. I guess there's room to improve, as the rating indicated, Agnese. Do you think, and maybe Andrea might be able to answer it as well, but do you think that there's greater potential to be had from increasing production of clean energy in the district, or is it more a case of improving efficiency? Which one is where's more to sort of, where are the gains to be found?
Probably Andrea has a better grasp than me on the situation, but I think it's a combination of both, because I mean, there's room for new photovoltaic installation, for example, in rooftops of residential buildings. But we already have some, as Andrea was mentioning, on the rooftop of the Politecnico University. But yes, sure, also the efficiency part is important, because many buildings are old, because the district is not very new, so buildings could be renovated and made more efficient for sure.
Yes, I agree, and so I will add something on the production side. Of course, a urban district has limited available space for installing new PV, but we have recently reviewed the campus part of the district that anyway is more than half the space of the district, and there's the chance to double or making triple the current installed PV, but reaching the positiveness is a very hard challenge, as hard as becoming net zero. So these are all very ambitious challenges also. From a technical point of view, they look over ambitious. If you are a technical, if you do the calculations, they seem just that is too far away.
Yeah.
But of course, there is a great room of improvement.
Indeed. Do you think the labeling index, do you think that's going to be something that can be replicated at like an EU level? I mean, it's kind of based on an existing EU sort of, I guess, health or labeling. So do you think that's something that could be pushed for? And do you see that as an objective of the work that you're doing?
Well, I think having urban energy indexes are useful. Maybe we don't need the word that positive, but anyway, an energy index to assess the performance of a district is useful, because having an indicator will trigger measurements, the collection of data and so on. And this is something that we've seen the follower cities. It's not that immediate to collect the data and to be able to make the calculation. So the fact of having an index is also interesting, because it triggers some real action from the cities.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you. Great. So we are a little bit behind time, so we'll leave it there for the moment. But if any further questions for either of our presenters just now, please do leave them in the chat, and we'll come to them at the end of the session. So I shall now pass on to our final guest speaker, Jakob Spohr from IREC. Jakob, the floor is yours, and please feel free to introduce yourself and the work that you've been doing, but also the work that was done as part of the Making PEDs project.
Yes, thank you. Okay, I hope you can see it well.
Yep, we can see it.
Perfect. So yeah, hello everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm Jakob, or Jakob in German. Project engineer at IREC, a Catalan research institute based in Barcelona. And we're part of the consortium that developed the Making PEDs platform. In short, it's a digital twin-based decision support tool to help districts and cities move towards climate neutrality. Before jumping into the tool, let's quickly look at the core challenges that we face. It's creating positive energy districts is a complex task. You have many stakeholders, planners, engineers, politicians that all have their interests, and you have to kind of match those. Also, decisions are often still based on, well, a feeling or general guidelines. So the question is, how do we structure this complexity and support better decisions? And the tool has kind of 5 key features. So what we do first is simulate real districts or neighborhoods. And we don't just look at energy. We also include economic, environmental, and also social perspectives. And instead of an isolated calculation, we create a holistic view of the district. Here you can see a quick example of our partner town in Spain. It's San Esteve de Palautodera. It's a small village in rural Catalonia. And in that user interface, you can not only choose what to simulate, but also which buildings or areas within your town you want to analyze. But I'll go into that in detail a bit later. The second key feature is flexibility. Cities can define their own scenarios. They can tailor options based on their local context, and importantly, also include their stakeholder preferences. So it's not just a technical tool, but it's also a participatory planning tool. And that's also where it kind of gets interesting. We can then also rank different interventions or scenarios, not just based on one metric, but on multiple criteria. So decisions are based, precisely on the input data. Behind this ranking is a structured decision-making process. So first you can define the problem with your goals, the criteria, and different alternatives. Then you can do a comparison or pairwise comparison. This helps to kind of translate the opinions into a quantitative weight. So you can rank a list of options. And yeah, so the goal is to turn this complex discussion of different scenarios with different focus areas and different strengths into a transparent, structured decision. Here's an example how it looks in the platform. Firstly, you select the scenarios that you could build or that you can build beforehand by yourself. You can define the criteria preferences and choose some kind of evaluation categories. So is it more environmentally friendly or more energy efficient? The results come in a graphical comparison, as you see on the right, as well as a ranking system, as you see on the bottom. And this can be used directly in, for example, workshops, as all of that works on demand, as well as it's going to be able to export the whole results and comparison as a report, so as like a PDF. So you can either work directly in a workshop, or you do it in the office, have a PDF and present the results wherever you need. And of course, all of this only works if people actually use the platform. So we designed a user-friendly interface. It's also a web-based tool, so there's no complex setup. You just have to open a website, log in with your credential, and you have full access. It's based on the real data from the digital twins. And yeah, it supports this participatory process. Here you can see straight away some of the results, but also kind of the base version of the Urban Living Lab. You can see some of the architectural data, as we call it, like year of construction of the buildings, number of inhabitants, but also main use of the buildings, or archetypes, as we classified all buildings in archetypes. And you can also see the development over time. You can see now in this ULL, there's a big new development of residential buildings coming in the next 10 to 20 years. So this is included. You can see how this impacts just like the base consumption, for example, energy consumption for the town. At the core of everything is the digital twin of the district. For that, we use CityGML as a data model, and we integrate simulation engines like Transition Energy Plus. And we also include things like embodied emissions and CO2 things, but I'll get to that back in a minute. So we test this approach in 4 urban living labs. We call them ULLs. So as you already seen, the example of San Esteve de Palotolera, it's the small residential town close to Barcelona. We also have Bærum in Norway. It's a new zero emission district. It's developed from the ground up, and it's a lot more mixed. You have some multifamily buildings, you have office space, you have shopping. It's a very different neighborhood. Then also we have Civitavecchia in Italy. It's social housing redevelopment. And last but not least, we have the city of Linz in Austria. It's an existing inner city neighborhood, very densely populated. So we cover very different contexts, which is also key for the scalability of the project. We integrated data from obviously energy, excuse me, but also building specific information, mobility data, and users into one final system. So it's actually usable for our decision making. And we focus on interoperability, connecting existing city data instead of creating new separate kind of data silos. Then with modeling or simulation, we can test different scenarios like building renovation or increase in e-mobility, new PV systems, or waste and water reduction measures. Before we actually move into a real implementation of those measures. And finally, all of this feeds into that one simple dashboard that help users visualize, compare, and act on the data. So on the data side, we're using a structured model to represent and manage the 3D city data. As I said before, at the core, we use CityGML as the central data model. This stores all building-related information, and it also allows us to extend it with additional attributes that are not part of the core structure. And for energy-specific aspects, for example, like photovoltaic systems, we extended this core structure with the Energy ADE 2.0. It's a new add-on developed by the TU Delft, which lets us capture those details in a consistent and interoperable way. And this core structure, CityGML, is then connected to our different calculation models. So this is a brief overview. It's just a very short introduction of where most of the work happens. We set up a modular structures that can be easily extended or personalized depending on the needs for each ULL or user. And we can structure these calculation models in kind of 3-4 categories. Firstly, we have the greenhouse gas emission balance that you see on the left in green. This consists of the energy and environmental emissions based on like the building energy performance, the mobility emissions, or water and waste emissions. Then on the other side, we have the carbon sinks, like renewable energy generation. In this case, we solely focus on photovoltaic, and also green infrastructure, like green areas like parks, green roofs, urban trees, and such. Then we also have the module, the economic impact module of the implied measures. And we have the social module with the energy and social vulnerability index to ensure that the transition of that urban space goes within like a social or is socially fair. Yeah, so essentially we build a full greenhouse gas balance at district level. Yeah, to wrap it up, in this project, we combine a digital twin with detailed building-specific simulation to feed into a decision support system. So we help cities move towards transparent, data-driven decisions, and we're helping to make complex PED planning a bit more structured and participatory. Here in the QR code, you get directly to our website for any further information and links to the platform. Thanks a lot, and happy to discuss further questions.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Jakob. Very, very interesting, and yeah, incredibly. It's almost like seeing what we're hoping to do with TIPS4PED. In a slightly different context, but definitely some similarities there. If there are any questions specifically for Jakob, please don't hesitate to ask. And actually, I would invite my fellow faces on the screen, the fellow speakers, to, if you also have questions for each other, please don't hesitate to unmute your mic and ask away. We have 10 minutes left to have a quick discussion and any further questions. Quickly, one for Jakob though. I found, well, I guess there's two actually, but we'll start with the first one, which I think is, you mentioned the energy and social modeling aspect. From a social perspective, what type of data is being used for that? That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, so it's a very complex module developed by R2M project partners. But yeah, it looks at the social structure of a neighborhood or of a building, but it also looks at quality of the building, like an energy certificate, basically the state of the building, if it's new or needs a lot of renovation. That also leads to energy cost, for example, that are already existing pre and post renovation.
So it's looking specific at the urban fabric as opposed to maybe like more social data on occupants or I don't know, incomes or etc. things like that. Yeah.
It is a part, but it's very difficult to find very building specific information. So on a grander scheme for a whole neighborhood, this is considered, but on a building level, it just doesn't work that well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I mean, for the purposes of the model, that makes sense. Yeah. Certainly. And I guess maybe the overarching question I should ask you before we move on to anybody else would be, what are the lessons for TIPS4PED that you would recommend or say that you have taken from making PEDs now that you've come to the close of the project?
I think one very important part is to work very closely with all stakeholders, and especially the cities from the very beginning, to really communicate your research idea and take into consideration the needs of the cities or municipalities. I think that's throughout the whole project is a very, very important part that I think worked quite well in making PEDs. So we could also already personalize the platforms for each of our urban living labs.
How was the project received in the pilot site? I forget the name. It was quite a long one, wasn't it? It was
yes, San Esteve.
San Esteve.
That's
the shortened version.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The one in Spain. No, they're very happy with it. Of course, we got some feedback how to develop it further, which we will do in a follow-up project scale-up making PEDs. But yeah, here, for example, they've already used it. As here in Spain, there's this platter. It's a PV requirement or PV development over the next decade for municipalities. And they're already using this platform to validate the potential of PV development in their town and to see how or if they can match the required numbers.
Well, where would be best to keep up with those developments as they transpire? Would it be the IREC website, or was there another source that we should keep an eye on?
Yeah, it's making-peds.eu. That's the official project website. There are all the links and publications, and it will also, like the Scale Up project will be linked there as well.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I am not seeing any further questions. Do anybody else have anything they'd like to ask each other? Doesn't have to be to Jakob, could be to somebody else. Obviously, Sergio's no longer with us, but he's moved on to a different meeting. But he's still here, I'm sure. Or is there anybody else curious? Yes, Riccardo?
Yes, let me please stress again about one point that is related to the engagement and the importance of this kind of activities, not only to communicate, but to foster the awareness. And thanks to the project, now we have more than 200 families that are at the same time not only sending data information to the project, but we are the family. My family is one of them that are starting to be aware of their consumption, energy consumption. And we know, as you say, that the energy sustainability starts also from reducing the consumption and optimizing them. So this is a kind of citizen science project, where the people are really, really involved, And thanks also to the workshop we are running, we also always discuss with them about their needs, the proposal, the challenges they have. We also made during the National Roundtable meeting with small municipalities around Italy. It was very interesting to hear about their needs and their challenges.
Do you want to maybe explain how it's been for your family with the monitoring of your own energy data? It's been done via, I remember there was the handing out of the smart meters. How's that been like? Has it been very easy to do, or has it just been plug in and go, or how's it been?
Well, it's very easy to install it, and there are a few instructions. You just plug in the meter, and of course, and you also have an app that tell you the consumptions of for each hours and the past consumption of the days before and the month before. So it's very useful and easy. And then Politecnico also assist the people if they have any problem, if there is a connection problem. So it was quite easy, and it was an effort, because we have to make Politecnico had to make not only a public call, but also to take care about the technical aspects, of the sharing these matters. But I think it was worth it. I don't know if Andrea has many words about that. Other words about that.
No, it was great, Riccardo. Nothing to add. Thank you.
Data well received. I guess maybe I'd ask one last thing, and it's, well, I guess to those who are based in Torino, but really to Andrea, maybe also to you, Riccardo, have you seen the effects of the heat wave in your energy consumption? What has the effect been? Has there been a greater use of energy to power AC? Do you have AC? We've all been suffering in Brussels, so I'm just curious.
It's a great question. No, but because we even if we have the real-time monitoring, we don't have the real-time, let's say, looking at the data. So we still have to analyze the data, but it's something that it's worth to check. So I'll take this as a tip.
Yeah, nice. I think it would be interesting to plot the outside temperature to everybody's AC level.
But
okay, brilliant.
Certainly, certainly the city had many blackout. Widespread blackout during this period. So this is an issue.
Yeah, I had 2 on my street, and it was only my street. I don't know why in this whole neighborhood, but anyway. Brilliant. Okay. I think unless anybody else has something else, we can wrap it up there. I should probably just finish with a very brief announcement before I forget, because I was about to. Let me just bring up my presentation very quickly. So yeah, thank you everybody for joining. Thank you to our guest speakers, all of them, for joining and sharing your insightful presentations. Thank you to all who've attended as audience members and for all the interesting discussions that we've had. I'd just like to say this is the first in our webinar series. There will be at least 2 more. The next one is due to be on October 29th, so please feel free to save the date. The exact topic will be announced in the near future, but it will most likely be linking the topic of positive energy districts more explicitly to mobility and how can mobility enable or act as a catalyst for positive energy districts and their development. So yes, without taking anybody else's time any further, just a big thank you to everybody, and yeah, we'll stay in touch. Any questions, please feel free to send them to our emails, which are on screen now. There's myself there and Pedro Gomez, my colleague as well. So with that, thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.